I'm very sure you must have heard of the word dementia some or the other place in recent times, because you very frequently see. Is it comfortable English or Hindi, Marathi, any? English comfortable for everybody? Okay, because most of the slides are in English. If you want it to be in Hindi or Marathi, I can do it. Okay. So most of the time you must have heard of the word dementia sometimes. Alzheimer's dementia, Alzheimer's disease. Very frequently in the media nowadays. Many doctors are talking about it in the newspapers, in the television, sessions, wherever there are medical sessions, or even in the newspaper you see many researches going on in the Alzheimer's disease, dementia area. Some of you or your relatives, close relatives who are very elderly might be having already the symptoms of dementia and are not diagnosed about it. So today the intention behind taking this brief session is that just to create a slight more awareness, whatever you know, just to add on to it, and whatever questions you have, definitely take up the questions once we are done with the session. And we also have with us the screening booklets, all the information booklets which have been provided to you. One of them is about what is dementia, and others will explain you what to do if you have a patient of dementia in your family. All the details would be explained in a very simple format out here. So I will start with the presentation. I will take 20-25 minutes for the presentation. In between also you can ask questions. After that also you can ask the questions. So what is your concept about a healthy living? How does a healthy living is made? Is it just about the healthy body, or a mind is also required? What is your idea? Both the things are required. So sound body as well as sound mind is very important. Spirit, yes, that's a new addition into it. That's absolutely right. Spirit is very important. Religious aspect is very also equally important into that thing. So that's what is the intention behind showing this particular slide, in which it is said that a healthy body as well as a healthy mind definitely makes up a healthy living. So both the things are important. But it is usually seen that most of the time we are more bothered about only physical happiness, only physical part, only that another part. We don't think much about the mental happiness or about the brain. So that's what we'll see now. Why do we need to have a healthy brain? What's the reason? Why do we need to have a healthy mind? Because one of the reasons is that brain is the organ which controls all the major functions of the body. As you know, if I ask you what is the most important part in your body, what would be your answer? Brain, because brain is the one which controls muscles, heart, as well as lungs, all the respiration, inhalation, what you do. Whenever you feel like, the moment you feel like I should go to the library because there is a talk on dementia today. So all that activity is also initiated inside the brain. You start walking towards the library, the brain is giving control. The brain is controlling your movements. So all the things require control from the brain. Like walking, talking, eating, sleeping, as well as our day-to-day behavior. Okay. A healthy brain is therefore required for normal functioning in day-to-day life as well as in professional life. I'll just take a brief slide on the brain. The brain, as you can see on the left side, is brain. It is inside this particular cavity is called a skull. It has got almost 100 billion nerve cells. So a nerve cell is one component of the complete brain. The way all of us are sitting here, all of us, I think 20-25 people. So if I consider one person as a neuron or nerve cell, it is a component of the complete brain, and they form connections in between. When you decided to come to the library, I'm very sure you had made groups with each other. Two people came together, then they go to some other place, and then they come down to here. So that's how neurons also make groups. They come in groups, and each area has a particular function. For example, you are sitting on the left side, on the right side. So that's how they are segregated, and they have their own functions. But they are always connected with each other. This is the diagrammatic sketch of the brain, how it looks like when we remove the skull. So if you can see, there are 3 or 4 different areas, and depending upon the color, I have also tried to give you what is their main function. So on the frontal, which means frontal means the ahead part. Okay, this particular part is frontal part. Forehead, yes. So just behind the forehead there would be frontal brain. That is a part of brain. So brain is not just one particular organ. It's not like a compact wall. It is like a room in which there are so many things kept nearby each other, and they are connected to each other. So frontal lobe or frontal part, it's called as part, is responsible for planning. So when you thought of coming down to this particular library, you had planned something in your mind. So planning is here. Then insight, that I think I should go to the dementia seminar. That's an insight, that's an thought that came to your mind. Then is learning. Whatever you would be learning, little thing out here, that is also part of frontal lobe. So similarly, all other areas of the brain are responsible for different functions. Especially important is the limbic region, as you can see in the lower corner. Sleep is very important. Appetite, whatever we eat throughout the day. Then temporal lobe, which is going to be important concern for us today, because that deals with memory. Whatever we learn, whatever we see now, whatever we see in day-to-day practice, whatever you read from the booklet, if you cannot remember it, then that is of course no use. So the God has given us the brain, and brain has such a wonderful function of remembering things. That is what is a memory. So memory is very important for human beings as well as for other animals. Can you tell me what happens during aging? What is your experience? How do you feel different as compared to when you were young? What are the changes you can feel?
Become mature.
Become more mature. Yes, and anything else you would like to suggest?
Joints get pain.
Joints have pain. Okay, that's a very important, very common thing. Anything else?
Body is not healthy as it was before.
Okay, may not be. It is not the case always. Yes, loss of memory. Anything else you would like to say, sir?
Changes occurs in body.
Yeah, what are what are the changes?
So after the certainly the slowdown is going on. Shrinking brain.
Shrinking brain. Okay.
Vein bones also the shrinking.
Yes. Okay. Anything else? Any particular thing you can think about the brain? What happens?
Size shrinks.
Yeah, but that you cannot see outside, na?
Actually, is it not a myth? Actually, it doesn't shrink. Actually, if you keep yourself active.
Yes.
Even there is a myth that neurons, life and all these things, it cannot be regenerated.
Okay.
Now it is proved that
It can be generated. Yes.
The height is spending this backbone and reducing height also.
Correct. No, not exactly reducing height, but apparently it shows. Yes. So as you can see, there are so many answers coming up regarding bones, regarding muscles, regarding brain. So many organs have slowly. It is called as degeneration or deterioration from the normal young adult life what we had. So there are aging is usually classified into three categories. The first one is called as healthy aging, in which the person is as fit as he was in his younghood. For example, people from army, probably they are very well trained into their using their mind, body and everything. So they might have a healthy aging, which is very less chances. Another most common is a normal aging. Okay. 30?
35 to 45. This is normal aging.
No. I am talking about aging means 60 above 55, 60 people. There can be three types of aging chances. One is somebody has exactly same body as he had in the adulthood, continues. Another option is that he slowly has diabetes, slowly develops hypertension, slowly develops glaucoma or the reduction in the sight. So all the symptoms like backache he starts developing. He may have higher number of fractures, slowed thinking brain. All the things are also considered as part of normal aging, because that we see very rampantly. It's then another thing is that, but that can have some restrictions. The way you cannot drive your vehicle the confidence with which you were driving when you were young. You cannot walk very fast. So all the things might be slightly restricted. On the other side, the third option is pathological aging, in which the patient has good number of pathologies, something like developing a particular cancer or having a brain attack, the way we call it a stroke, or somebody might have heart attack. So all these things may develop. If these things are seen, then it would be called as pathological aging. Okay, so these are the three types of aging possible. As I told you, one of the common problem in the elderly patient is they have hypertension, diabetes, may have eye problems, as well as reduction in the hearing capacity. They may have difficulty. We may have to tell them 2 or 3 times the same thing, so make them understand that particular thing. As well as memory problems. Now you tell me, do you consider reduction in the memory as a part and parcel of aging?
Yes.
Or do you think it is something wrong, something pathology?
No, memory should not reduce with age.
Okay, any other suggestion? Do you think memory should reduce with age?
I think it does.
See, it is a
You tend to forget over a period of time until you
Your
realize.
reflex action may reduce,
Okay,
but not memory.
okay.
I think you tend to forget.
Yes, yes, yes. Anything?
Forget it.
Okay.
body not give that much response to that act. Muscles and all.
No, no, I'm talking about memory specifically now.
That's also no, see, connected to this now.
Okay.
Cells and all. No. The reducing the
Connectivity reduces, those memory decreases. Okay. So, see, forgetting some or the other thing sometime it can be a part of aging. But forgetting everything most of the time, forgetting whatever you learned. For example, you came out your house and you had decided that I have to go to Help Library today because I am going to attend a seminar on dementia. You start walking towards the Health Library and suddenly you forget, oh, where I was going. So this is called as loss of memory for early period. But you may not forget when was your birth, what was your birth date, that person is your child, she is your wife. Those things you may not forget because those were past distance memories. But you might forget something which is recent. Okay,
You tend to remember the past but not the present actually.
the recent things. Okay, okay. So
It is called short-term memory loss.
yes, yes, that's what I was going to come to the next slide. Yes, correct. So
But is it a part of aging?
I'll explain it in the next slide. I'll explain. So, but one more thing is that do we really consider that memory loss as a problem in elderly? See, understand, some of you are saying that it is part and parcel. It is just a part of aging. So we may not truly consider it as problem and we may not seek treatment for it. So that is what I'm going to explain today to you. Unfortunately, memory problems are very commonly ignored in elderly patient. That you give elderly people, whatever you tell them, they might forget about that particular thing. And people who are around them, like their son, daughter, they might get irritated sometimes. How many times should I tell you the same thing? Why don't you do this thing? Why don't you understand this thing? Once I told you not to go out of the house, or whatever things it is. So that create unnecessary irritation and tension inside the house. So it should be, memory problem is definitely a not severe memory problem is not a part of normal aging. You should always consult a neurologist or a psychiatrist anytime you feel that you are having sudden memory loss. Okay, see, if from early part itself you could not remember quite a few things, you never had interest in those particular things, so you will not remember those things. But initially you remember all the things, everything properly, and suddenly nowadays you are not able to recollect, you are not able to learn anything new, then that can be a sign of dementia, that can be a sign of memory loss. So it is always important that any memory loss notice should be definitely evaluated by a neurologist or a psychiatrist. As you can see here, that particular eraser is slowly erasing the memories of the person. Memory is a very complex function. It involves so many things. It involves understanding what you see outside. When you are reading a particular thing, when you are looking at me, the visual senses are involved, hearing is involved, then the brain is recording everything slowly. So many factors are involved into memory formation, as well as the brain should be intact to record all the small things. It is divided into immediate, recent and old memory. The way somebody told here that we tend to forget the recent memories, the new memories. So that is what the short term. Okay, so persons tend to forget short term things. You may not forget the older things. So that is that's a sign that you might be a potential patient for dementia, or you might be having a memory loss. Okay.
But working memory is a part of what? It's a short-term memory or it's something different than short-term memory?
It's a short term.
You said recent memory is short-term, right?
No, I'm saying immediate. See, immediate means I told you my name. Did I tell you my name?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you do not remember it, then that was a part of immediate. But 3 days back or 4 days back, you got the email from the library, or you have read the notice that I am going to present here something, and you do not remember it now, then it is recent. See the difference. Immediate is very immediate, recent is some time back, and remote is very old. These are the three different things. So in case of Alzheimer's disease, this immediate memory is reduced very severely. In case of dementia, this immediate memory is reduced very severely, and then the person starts slowly losing recent memory also, and then remote memory also. So that's how it goes. Okay, so initially the person will remember everything that is old, that I was born in this particular village, my mother was like this, my father was like this, but he may not be able to recollect what you had told him 2 minutes back. Okay. So one more important thing is that memory is very, very important for us. Unless and until we have memories, we cannot have bonding, we cannot have relationship. Unless and until you remember that somebody is with you for 20, 25, 30 years, that person is your relative, is whether let it be a wife, husband, mother, or anybody. So all these things are also important in relation building, also in professional life. Memory is exceptionally important function of the brain. It is our memory that helps us perform all the function or the activities of the brain. As you can see here, this particular tree, which is in the shape of human face, is slowly losing the brain, slowly losing the memories. What will happen if we lose our memory? That's what the slide is talking about. So there are so many things that can happen. Number one, we may not be able to remember things as well as individuals. You came here as a group, you are 2 or 3 people who are working together or something, and you come here and you forget, oh, who are you? That kind of things might happen. We just tend to forget people. After that, we may not be able to perform our daily essential as well as non-essential activities like brushing, like getting up and doing our things normally. We may not be able to recognize any object, place or time, as well as one of the worst part about this memory loss is that we might have certain outburst of mood changes. In between we are happy, suddenly something happens and we are extremely irritated, and for which we should not have been irritated. So these things can definitely happen. And the last thing is very important. We might lose our identity, that I am a person. Whatever you are, a banker, you are a businessman, whatever your name is, so that you feel you lose that identity as well as the dignity to live in the society. So all these things are possible if we have a very severe memory loss. So dementia, now we'll go to dementia slowly. Dementia is a progressive brain disorder in which the most common symptom is the memory loss, and specifically the immediate memory loss followed by recent memory loss. So these two things are a starting of indicator that the person has some problem with the brain. It also has a possibility of interfering with the social relationship, and then it involves decline in the cognitive function. Cognitive function means your ability to think, your ability to communicate with somebody, your ability to understand what the other person is saying, how to behave in that particular environment. All these things are included into cognitive functions. So now we'll see what happens in the brain of the patient who has Alzheimer's disease or dementia. As you can see, this again the image is in the shape of a brain, human brain, in which the Alzheimer has been imprinted in a very, very big fonts. You can see there are so many things. Stress can be seen, a serious loss of memory can be seen. Then the brain may be diagnosed with some other condition like stroke simultaneously. Agitation means excessive irritation. If somebody goes and says, hello, my name is this much, you suddenly become angry. What should I do? So that kind of inappropriate reaction to start giving slow. Yes, that is the first thing. Who are you? Then you can say, why do you want to talk to me? So all these things are also possible going ahead with Alzheimer's. Our brain, as I told you, has got thousands or crores and 100 billion of neurons connected with each other. So how do you communicate with each other? How do we communicate with each other in general?
Language.
Language, anything else?
Body language.
Body language.
Action.
Yes, that's what is body language. Anything else?
Words.
Yes, with the eyes. Exact. One more important. With the eyes also you can express many expressions. Yes. Science. Okay. But if you go to a particular shop, for example, if you go to a Kirana shop and you want to purchase a Parle-G biscuit, 4 rupees, how do you tell him? Do you just do some eye signs, or you just show him something? That is one way. Otherwise, you can say, and you give him some currency notes, 4 rupees, 5 rupees, whatever it is, he gives you Parle-G. So let us take, for example, currency notes, our money, rupees, as a chemical, as a messenger. It communicates with other person that I want something for 4 rupees. So that is the Parle-G I want. So similarly, in the brain also, two neurons are two independent units, but how do they talk with each other? So a chemical is released in the brain that is called as neurochemicals. So that is the way of communicating with each other. In Alzheimer's disease, that chemical is reduced to very severe extent. That is the problem with an Alzheimer's disease.
What is the name of it?
It is acetylcholine, neurochemicals, neurotransmitters, and it is called as acetylcholine. Acetylcholine, yes.
ACETYL.
TYL.
CHOLINE.
Acetylcholine is the chemical which is reduced inside the brain.
Can you replace it?
Repronounce, yes.
Can you replenish it?
Replenish, okay. Not completely, but we have drugs. Nowadays we have got some drugs which can increase the quantity to some extent. So we cannot replenish it to 100% what it was beforehand, but at least you can increase it to the extent that the person can live almost near normal life. Almost near. We cannot claim it to be 100% perfect. And somebody was talking about shrinking of the brain. That's what is depicted here. See, this left part is healthy brain, as you can see on the left side. Okay, this particular part. While on the right side is the patient who had severe Alzheimer's disease for long time. So his brain has slightly shrunk. Shrinking of the brain is a part of normal aging, but not too much. While in case of Alzheimer's disease, the shrinking is too much that it becomes noticeable whenever we do CT scan, MRI. So that's one of the things that out there. In Alzheimer's disease, there would be shrinking of the brain from all the sides. Yeah, yes sir. Okay, yes sir. As I told you that one particular neuron is communicating with another neuron by some chemicals. Can you see the neurotransmitter word written there? It's very small. Yeah, is it clear now? It's a neurotransmitter. So these molecules are released here and then they talk with each other. So if person wants to remember something, this neurotransmitter must go from one neuron to another. For example, if I give this particular pen to him, if I ask him to hand it over to the person sitting out there, he will give it to him, he will give it to you, and then you will give it to him. So that's how the communication occurs. But in Alzheimer's disease, this particular thing is also reduced. So even if neurons are there, they may not be able to connect with each other. Okay. Incidence is very high. It is not as high as compared to diabetes or hypertension, but even if incidence is high, the problem here is that people do not report it. They consider that as part and parcel of aging. That is why the reported incidence is very less, but actual incidence may be very high. Incidence means how many people have that particular disease in 100 or 1000 people. That is means the meaning of the word incidence.
All great people have all the presidents and great people had dementia. Nixon and presidents become regular.
I am not getting all the great. Yes. Great people. Yes.
Mrs. Bhutto.
Or also Ronald Reagan had dementia.
Correct.
Bhutto did not have.
Mrs. Bhutto's mother had.
Mother.
Mother probably had, yes.
Vajpayee is suffering. Vajpayee is severe. He's taking our product only. Yes.
George Fernandez, I think has
Now
been.
he has. Someone has to even put his nappies and all. He's in such a bad state.
Actually,
He's not able
I
to-
have seen this group.
Okay.
I have seen, my father had it. I've seen this group, my father's neighbor had it.
Okay.
So I've been, I've been very scared, whether it's hereditary or not.
Not exactly. Not exactly. There are no fixed statistics that we cannot. The way we can say with diabetes or hypertension, that if one parent has it, how much percentage of chance it is there that child can has it. But in case of Alzheimer's, there is no fixed statistics about it.
Dr. Vaz has done a good job
Okay.
Yeah, he got into Goa now, but he was one of the doctors on the sub.
Okay, okay. Great. It is nice to know that at least few of you are already aware about the disease. So it is good that through this platform we can give more information, and then in future also we can have more sessions similarly. So as I told, no, dementia is a memory loss. You are absolutely normal and you have got a memory loss. Schizophrenia is a psychiatric disorder. Psychiatrists.
Hiding the own identity.
Yes, probably. So in schizophrenia, the person is completely psychiatric. You suddenly he's standing next to you and he starts slapping him or abusing him or hitting him, or he goes into the corner and sits in the corner. So that is a different thing. He may not have memory loss. Dementia, when we say, it is specifically more of memory loss. Understand? Okay, that's it.
Short-term memory loss.
Not necessarily. Initially, to start with, it would be short term. Then the person also starts forgetting the older things. That's a possibility.
Actually, they remember the past, actually where
Yes,
they
yes, yes.
what
Very
happened.
clearly.
Correct.
And actually they walk out of the house with
They don't know
pillows,
when to
saying that
come
I
back.
want to go to that area.
Yes.
And they were not able to come back because they don't know where their
I
house
know.
is.
No, but it's not true with everybody, right? There are people, guys who are
Different
suffering
cases.
Yeah. See.
It's not so high as
Somebody
diabetes.
suffering from Alzheimer may not remember the long term as well.
Yes, that's what I said. Initially, to start with, you people tend to forget the immediate memory. Then they will forget the recent memory. Then the older one. I will share with you a video which is very touching, very touchy. After the session, you will understand how people even tend to forget. The person in the video was married for a woman for 80 years, 80, and he forgets her. So she is as good as dead. That the person who is living with her is not recognizing her. So that's a real pain.
Who is that person? Actually? Why is he staying here?
Yeah. The person who's suffering says, who is this person? Why is
Yeah,
he staying
that's
here?
what happens.
Exactly.
Actually, SI's college has got started treating dementia people in somewhere in Nehru.
Okay,
Yeah. The
Nehru,
Nehru
Nehru.
job.
In Nehru.
Nehru. Okay,
I mean, that's the first person who's done this.
work on this.
Kind of a stuff.
Okay.
But what percentage is higher in the development?
What?
Percentage is higher in the development.
No, see, it is not about high and low. It is about the awareness they have. In US and Europe, you will see thousands of companies, thousands of government agencies working on it to create awareness. So what happens? Now, for example, I am trying to make you aware. So if you have that symptom, you have somebody near that, you will report it. So reporting is higher in those countries. We cannot claim that their incidence is higher. It is just the reporting is higher in those particular countries. India also may have a very high number of dementia patients. The way now India has #1 diabetes patients now. India has the largest number of diabetes patients. Don't you think we had diabetes patients couple of years back? We had them, but we probably never reported them. Now with dementia also is increasing because increasing reporters. So it is not necessary that the disease is increasing. Also awareness is increasing and the reporting systems are also becoming good. That thing is happening.
It is essentially awareness which leads to more screening.
Yes,
People
screening.
go and ask what is this problem, which leads to more diagnosis and which leads to more treatment. Right? So it doesn't mean that we are not, in our country they will say, oh 65, oh buddha ho gaya. So normal hai. But in those countries they will say there is a serious, they will go through the whole battery of tests, they will have registry, they will note all these data and then they will publish it. What was it 10 years back, what it is now. So India is developing, like in diabetes it is there, in hypertension we have got.
Awareness is increasing.
So that's the question of awareness.
But it's not regular as well. Like suppose today I meet somebody suffering from dementia.
I think we make it complete so that we then.
Yeah,
He allowed us to.
Yeah, definitely.
You
Okay.
can interrupt me.
No problem. I will take
He was
the.
referring to a point.
I will take the question. I'll take the question.
My point is what I was asking you. See, so a person suffering from dementia, he may recognize you today, and he may fail to recognize you tomorrow. That
Tomorrow.
It occurs, right?
It happens.
Yes. That fluctuation is also
Like, it's
possible.
not gradual, like you forget immediate things and recent things.
No,
Long
it
term-
is-
as a part of long term memory. Suppose a person suffering from dementia may remember you today, he may fail to remember you tomorrow.
Correct. It
Again,
is.
day after tomorrow he may remember you.
Yes, yes, yes. He has raised a very good question here. It is actually gradual in most of the cases. So whenever we talk about any particular disease or anything, we talk about generalized, what is major. Some cases definitely may have other issues also simultaneously. The way you are saying fluctuations in today he remembers, today he's probably trying to be normal person, he's happy, recognizing everything, eating properly. Next day suddenly he's becoming very serious disorder. That's a possibility.
That is normal. But
That-
with this
that-
people,
No, that is also possible. I am not saying normal. That is also possible in this disease.
It's like an ups and downs.
Yeah, ups and down, like that kind of thing.
Sometimes you are very lucid. You remember everything. You are my son. Where is my granddaughter? Her name is so and so. Next day, who is this person? Why is he staying here? So it is
Ups and downs are possible.
At the end of the period, it deteriorates.
Yeah.
Deteriorate, exactly. But that fluctuation also reduces slowly, and then they tend to forget everything afterwards. So fluctuation might be a sign of early Alzheimer's disease. So percentage is approximately 3 to 4% or 7% as reported in many cases. Next slide I would like to show you. See, this is the age group 60 to 64, 65, 70, 70, 71, and women and men. Okay, red is women, white is men, and on this particular thing is the percentage. What is the percentage of the patient who have? Percentage means out of 100 persons in 60 to 64 age group, how many have Alzheimer's disease? As you can see, with increasing age this side, the percentage is increasing or decreasing? It is increasing. Number one. Number two, you also notice that women have higher chances of developing Alzheimer, at least slightly, as compared to men. So the percentage becomes very high after 90, specifically almost reaches 30-32%. So if it is the intention behind showing this particular slide is that if we get screening done early, if we go visit a neurologist or a psychiatrist early for treatment, and if he is able to diagnose the problem, starts treatment early, probably this percentage will slowly reduce. One more important thing out here to share with you, that with increasing so much healthcare, so many medicines are available out here for all the diseases, like starting, if you remember, probably in your days, plague was lethal. If somebody develops plague, especially in Surat, there was epidemic. Somebody develops plague, dies immediately on the next 2 or 3 days. Now we have got medicines, so that person may not die, so the person lives long. Somebody developing heart attack before was considered as dead. He has heart attack, nothing we can do. So now we have got treatment. So what is happening? The average lifespan a person is living is slowly increasing. Not only in countries, developing countries like India, but also in very developed countries like US, Europe, Japan, all the places. So what is happening? That in 1950, there were 8% of the people were above 65. Out of 100 people in general, there were only 8 who were still alive after 65. The percentage has increased to 12.8 in 1995, and projected in 2030 is almost 20%. So does that mean increasing the chances of older diseases? Definitely, that would also mean that higher chance of developing dementia in those patients. We'll talk about the risk factors. Somebody said about hereditary, whether it is genetic. So we have a definite set of risk factors for disease, Alzheimer's disease. These are the factors for which you cannot do anything. If they are there, they are going to be there. For example, age. With increasing age, you are likely to develop dementia symptoms, so you can't help it at that time. Genetics, if your genetics are susceptible in that particular thing, you can't help it. Similar is the gender. Gender means male or female. So females are more susceptible. Then is the head injury. Head injury is whenever we meet some accident or anything, that's likelihood. But we have, see, that's what Mr. Shivakumar was telling us about, that we have treatable diseases. If we reduce these diseases, then we have got a likelihood chance of reducing the chance of dementia also. See, as you can see here, cerebrovascular disease means stroke. You have heard of somebody who is getting paralysis, one side completely paralyzed. So that develops because of stroke. So stroke we can prevent if your lifestyle is healthy, if cholesterol is less, if we do not have diabetes, if we have taken all the precautions to prevent these diseases, or even if we have these diseases, if we reduce their intensity by taking appropriate medications and in taking insulin on time, taking hypertension medications, so we can slowly reduce the chances of developing dementia ahead in future in that particular patient. What are the symptoms of dementia? How do you look at the person and tell him that is a particular chance of having a dementia? Now till now what we have seen is dementia is memory loss. That is what we have seen. But memory loss is just one part of dementia. That is only one of the parts. These are the many things that can happen. See, apart from memory, the person might also lose insight. Who am I? I am a brigadier, I am a doctor, I am an engineer, I am a banker, I am a father. These things also might be slowly lost. Planning and organization obviously will slowly reduce, followed by physical abilities, that the person becomes very slow in activities. He does not want to do many things. He just like to sit in one particular corner throughout the day. Might be suddenly become angry, suddenly become agitated. So also mood changes are also possible. He's very happy in the night, suddenly angry after 2 hours for no reasons. So mood changes are also possible, followed by difficulty in the language. They have difficulty in communication with other people. Now next slide I'm going to tell you what are the things what we see in the aging. On the left side, normal part of aging process. On the right side of this, I will going to explain you the same point, how to differentiate it with the dementia patients on your own, small screening sort of thing. See, in that this column will tell you about what happens in the typical aging process, which is considered as acceptable. On this side it would be Alzheimer's or dementia patients, which would be unacceptable and which would be considered as a part of disease. So if you'll see here, in typical aging, sometimes you tend to forget names of people, sometimes you tend to forget where have I kept the key, but you probably remember it later. Oh, I had met you, suddenly now you're very elderly people, a very young boy comes to you or young girls come to you, suddenly tells you, oh uncle आपने पहचाना मुझे, मैं आपके पड़ोस में रहती थी बहुत सालों पहले और फिर मेरा भी शादी हो गया, I have grown up, I have got my own daughter and everything, and you fail to recognize her. So that's one of the possibility of normal aging. You do not remember everything at all the time. But when it comes to dementia, you tend to forget most of the information you learned recently. For example, whatever we are discussing here for 30, 35, 40 minutes, once you go out, you might forget it. So that's a part of dementia. And the person may ask for the same information again and again, every time, every now and then. Next point is making a bad decision once in a while. Bad decision means it can be a very small thing, it can be a very big thing. So that making a bad decision for once in a while is like when you are coming to this particular library, you have two options. Either you come from a very large, very long route, or you come from a very short route. Sometimes I think I should go by that way, and you come after 1 hour reaching here. In fact, I should have reached in 5 minutes only. So that is okay. Sometimes it's fine. But when it comes to Alzheimer's, it is always a poor judgment and a bad decision making. The person is unable to understand the positive, negatives, risk, benefit in that particular situation. Next is missing a monthly payment. For example, if you are supposed to go for your pension to the bank, whatever it is, State Bank or post office, every month you are supposed to go there and collect some pension. As far as I know, I think we get the pensions. So if you forget to do that once in a while, it is okay. I forgot about it. But if you forget every now and then daily duties, like if you are supposed to drop your granddaughter or grandchild to the school, or if you are supposed to bring some milk or something from the shop every day, and you slowly tend to forget that thing, avoid that thing, so that can be a part of Alzheimer's. Forget in case of typical aging, if you forget, if I ask you suddenly what's the day today, and if you are unable to tell me, if you just suddenly become confused, and after 2 or 3 minutes you think and you tell me, it is fine. It is absolutely fine. But in case of Alzheimer's, you lose complete track. What is the day, what is the season, what is the year? You suddenly thinking, I think I am in 2000 now. That thing is also possible. Next, In typical aging, a possibility is that sometimes you forget which words to use. Now, the way, for example, after the session, if you want to say me, it was good. So you might just say that thing might happen.
Not the right word.
Not the right word, but you might use that another words for it. It was any other word, and you remember that word after some time. But in case of Alzheimer's disease, the patient has in general difficulty in communicating. He doesn't understand what to say, whether I'm supposed to thank the person, whether I'm supposed to say it was absolutely useless or something. So he has difficulty in saying that. Next is losing things from time to time. You tend to forget your keys, you tend to forget where have you kept the money and everything. But after some time, if you get some clue, I think you can go and trace it. I think I had kept the money in the cupboard in the second locker, and you go and take it. In case of Alzheimer's patients or dementia patient, they cannot go retrace what they had done before, where I kept the keys and everything. So all these things, that's the difference between typical aging and Alzheimer's disease. So I think some of your questions must have been answered here, that you wanted to differentiate between whether it is normal or abnormal, I think.
So when you say difficulty in having conversation, prior to that it's a difficulty in understanding also, no? Comprehension. What you have said, I have not understood, so I am not able to converse as well.
Yes, so that's a learning problem also. Learning, recording and understanding and conversing. So there is a problem with in the complete cycle.
It's not just conversation.
Conversation is just a part of the communication. Yes. So, but the person might be able to understand something, but still he's not able to communicate. That also can be a part.
Judgment is very poor.
Yes. So now we are going towards the end of the session. How to manage dementia, whether there is any hope, or if the patient develops dementia, I should go on living the miserable life throughout the life. And the worst part about chronic disease like dementia, cancer, is that not only the patient, but also people surrounding him, maybe his daughter, son, or very close relatives, whoever are there, they are also equally hampered. If they are supposed, in fact, yeah, probably more. Caregivers. General term what we use for this is a caregiver. What happens? Seeing the pain, that's a very sad moment. For example, you are a very wonderful son. Your dad was in military, for example, 20, 25, 30, 50 years. He has been ruling the house, ruling the country properly, and suddenly you see him lying down completely helpless. If he wants a brush, he will say something like brush or something. He will not understand. So that's the pain the caregivers have. That is the problem. That is the realization caregiver should have, that this is not about one particular person. If it is a headache, you take the pill and you get relieved. Nobody else's problem in the issue. But here in chronic cases, that's the problem. So early diagnosis definitely can lead to better treatment options. If any of the above symptoms what I have told you beforehand, or any apart from them, whatever you have been given booklets, if you find similar symptoms, then you can definitely visit nearest neurologist or psychiatrist, whoever is comfortable nearby you. For
even a consultant physician.
even a consultant physician like general practitioners,
GP also they can.
you can visit.
Amongst this two,
Why psychiatrist? Why neurologist?
Both of them are supposed to be experts.
Expert in the
Supposed to be expert in the treatment of dementia, supposedly.
either whom one should prefer, neurologist or psychiatrist?
depends on who you are comfortable with. Because a neurologist, if you have been going, talk to a neurologist, you go to a neurologist. If you go to a psychiatrist will look at it from a mind point of view, whereas he will look at it from the brain point of view. Ultimately, all roads lead to Rome. So it just depends on where you want to go.
Because that will decide and differentiate the approach itself. Because if you approach a neurologist,
Yeah.
the treatment and the way of diagnosis, everything will be different. Whereas the
See, but
psychiatrist,
there is a treatment modality for dementia which is common. What they are taught in either a psychiatric post-graduation or a neurologist. But there will be subtle differences in how the treatment is to be done. So, in fact, as we go forward, you must have your GP next door in your general practitioner, your family doctor. He should be treating. No, he's treating diabetes. He's treating hypertension. He's treating heart problems. He's treating arthritis. But time may come, he may also start treating cancer maybe another 30, 40 years from now. So easily approachable doctors should be a GP or your MD medicine, general medicine. We as a company are trying to see how we can train the general practitioner and the MD medicine to even start treating dementia, because number of neurologists and psychiatrists are very limited.
Very less, very less.
So you end up going a lot of crowd at him, you will have a problem there. So better to train the general practitioner. But if you know someone who is a neurologist, you can go to psychiatrist, you can go to psychiatrist. You can even go to a neurosurgeon. So lots of people in India treat dementia, but the best ones are generally neurologists and psychiatrists.
I don't think there is a full cure for it.
No, that's what I was trying to share with you. The way we cannot claim today a complete cure for HIV, complete cure for cancer. Similarly, this is a degenerative disease in which the brain is slowly shrinking, the brain is becoming slow over the days.
Cancer people have fought and gone through. I don't think
Some of them.
But I don't think about this.
See, how do we define the fight is different. If somebody has a cancer of a particular place, for example, this particular thumb, and the cancer cells have not gone to other organs. Example, and this is cut, he's cured.
So especially breast cancer.
But how do you remove the brain?
Okay.
So that's no even in the breast cancer.
There are a lot of cases.
Yes,
They have delayed the degeneration.
exactly. That's what.
By
But
making your brain active.
But he is talking about the word cure. That's what I'm trying to tell him, that no cure is possible here. But we can definitely delay the progression of the disease overall. We can, whatever years the person has left, 20, 25, 30 years after 65, so he can at least live them with dignity, with quality of life, not being totally dependent on the family members for even small things. Even if he has dementia, he's aware about that I have got a dementia, and he's trying to do his things on own, like in taking the brush, helping the grandchildren with studies, small thing. He will also feel good when he's alive.
Actually, I've seen it galloping. Actually,
Okay.
I mean, in 2 persons I've seen it galloping. I mean, you don't have any space where you can go and check it out.
No. I think nowadays we have got ample doctors who are treating dementia, as well as we have got good amount of screening tests now.
Yeah.
So I think the approach is different now as compared to it was a couple of years back or a decade back. Approach is completely different now. It is now considered as treatable, even if not curable.
Sir, what is this neuropsychiatric analysis?
That's a neurologist will do. When you go to a neurologist or a general practitioner, what are the things he will do? So he will do it on his own. He will do many examinations, like he will test your memory through many questions. Then after that he will check your muscle reflexes. So he will do many neurological examination. He will see whether the reflexes are normal. He will check all other organs, whether the power is normal in the muscles. So that examination he will do. You just have to report to him, that's it, that I probably have got a memory loss, that's it.
IQ test.
No. IQ test is different. IQ test is different. I have intentionally put up this picture where a hand in hand is there. Role of family members is in fact the most important thing more than the medicines and anything, because if the family members accept him, yes, he has a dementia and he's still my father, he's still my mother, that's the most important medicine the person can get, that's the most important care he can get. Of course, medicines can help in delaying the degeneration and deterioration always, but family members have a very important role to play. Because as the person has increasing dementia slowly over the years, he becomes totally dependent on others, even for basic activities, as I told you, like going to the toilet, brushing the teeth, wearing clothes, walking, talking. What he was doing over 60, 70 years independently, even he has taught all these things to his grandson. What as a company, what as doctor community, what as all of you can do together for the patients of dementia and elderly is that in general, people who already have got severe dementia, we cannot restore their dignity or their identity back, but at least we can help in preventing it. At least we can help reducing the progression what others have. If you notice somebody that the patient has these symptoms, probably you might suggest him that it's a likelihood that you might have some chance of having dementia, visit the nearest doctor, whoever it is.
Sir, can death occur due to
Complications.
Death cannot occur because of Alzheimer's itself.
Complications.
for how many years one can survive?
This is vague. You cannot specifically predict that if the person has, it is not as acute or as acute as somebody having some stroke or heart attack. This is a slowly progressing disorder. So that number, that exact number, that 10 years, 20 years cannot be said. No, that it does not reduce life too much. Alzheimer's does not kill the person before his normal aging has. Basically what happens is initially the person has memory loss, then he starts some psychiatric problems. After that he starts having reduced movement of the body, and then in the end you will see him lying down on the bed continuously. So that also induces some infection, and that might be the reason for death. But Alzheimer alone is never a cause of death.
Urinary infections.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Urinary infections as well as beds.
No, it is not a life-threatening.
Not life-threatening. Correct.
Identity threatening.
Yes. I think that's the appropriate word. So, see, you have seen this thing in the last slide also, that this person of Alzheimer's disease is slowly losing his memory, slowly losing his brain. So, as a caregiver, you can help him in giving some help. Not by giving brain cells, but by giving memory or some help to him. Trying to help him every day and night out that, yes, he's your daughter, slowly, not being too much aggressive or angry at small things. So I would just like to thank you for the patient hearing you have given today for the small talk on Alzheimer's as well as dementia. Thank you.